Ahí yo voy a diferir porque ya yo creo que esto lo se ve el mercado y yo me voy a poner en el tramo positivo porque eso da mucho miedo lo que dices, Alma. Cuando tenemos una caída del 10% en el primer trimestre hay que ver cuál es la correlación que seguirían en los próximos trimestres del 2025 y recuérdense que ninguna subida en el mercado está divorciada de la tecnología, así que esto es muy peligroso. Como les estaba diciendo, una estrategia importante de Goldman Sachs baja la estimación del cierre, casualmente del Standard & Poor's 500, de los 6.200 que los tenía a tan solo los 5.700, que es prácticamente un poquitito más arriba de donde estamos hoy. Y ahora le pido al equipo de producción, precisamente para comentar esto, que nos traiga a nuestro invitado que tenemos el día de hoy, porque con él venimos a conversar exactamente qué es lo que está pasando. Lo traemos a la tribuna no solamente porque es un manejador de fondo importante dentro de los mercados internacionales, sino que en definitiva con todas sus apariciones en diferentes cadenas como en la parte asiática del canal CNBC y otras, siempre está claro de saber qué es lo que está pasando. Steve, how are you? How you doing? We're very happy to have you in our tribune again. And definitely the first question is, what is your recollection of facts for the first quarter officially of 2025?
Realmente is, thank you very much that I'm here, number one, okay? Number two is that el mundo es muy mezclado ahora, all right? It's very mixed up. Yo quiero practicar mi español porque es un language desde el mundo, okay? But what I can tell you is this, okay? What we're seeing right now is something that is not unusual. It's the new normal. Okay, and what we're also seeing right now is, we've made it's all going to be about the tariffs. Okay, but there is inflation, and you cannot fight inflation. You cannot fight inflation. It's that simple. All right, and understanding the juxtapose of that, what you will see right now is, does it really make sense that a guy like Doge is going out there and hurting his own company? Does it make sense logically? It doesn't. Why is he going out there and hurting his own company? It doesn't. Okay, so what you're going to see right now is this. There's two things. Okay, we will go higher here with value. There's no question about it. But the question is this: how much can you own and what you can own and not taking pain? That's what the public needs to understand. The viewers need to understand it's never how much you own of any asset class. It's about not owning too much of anything at any time. Regardless of the track record of our firm and really reaching out to the globe, what you're going to have to understand with the viewers is that this is something so new to them. And it's really not. It's really not new, okay? Because the viewers don't have the experience yet to see the world on a global aspect. Everything talks to everything else. Your fingers talk to your wrists, which talks to your elbow. It's the same thing in the market. And just keep this in mind. Victor, you know the market cold and you know it well. And you do, definitively. But what you have to say to yourself is this: not $1 has changed hands yet. Not $1. Not $1. But it is the psychology and the power of that to understand it. And that's what you bring to the viewers, okay? And that's what the viewers need to understand. Now, not $1 has changed hands yet.
Steve, now listening to you carefully, you mentioned that something that captured our attention absolutely, and definitely what we wanted to do is to make sure that, taking into consideration, as Alma, my colleague, was talking just a few minutes ago about the NASDAQ officially coming down around 10%, a little bit more for the first quarter, and you mentioned that we might see prices to come back. What is your biggest fear for 2025? Are you completely concerned that we're going to enter into a recession? If not, how do you think we should play the next quarter or the rest of the year to be safe in terms of managing that portfolio with such a huge volatility, changes, and everything that we're seeing in the market, Steve?
Let me say this to you. That's not a good question. That's a great question for you and the viewers. You can never play it safe, okay? Because you just can't. You can't always predict the outcome. But what the market tells you, all right, is as follows. When you're, the biggest concern is, in my opinion, is this. Is there really a disconnect between all the global governments in these negotiations? And they've been able to get into the mindset of the public. That's the real issue. It's a psychological issue. All right. It truly is a psychological issue because the data and the ideas come so fast into the endorphins of the public, it's difficult for them to make a decision. So as far as the public is concerned, all right, and the viewers are concerned, okay, it's not going to a casino. What you're doing is you are literally trying to find something that makes sense to understand the difference between Main Street and Wall Street. And that's the big thing. There's no question that there's inflation. That's a no-brainer, okay? The reality is this: how can the investor be comfortable? At these levels, I would be a buyer with high-quality tech stocks. And they will go up.
Steve, you are, and now final questions of the interview, you are an expert on China. Tonight, they will report about the Caixin Index. Mm-hmm. And if you see the ETF, FXY, FXE, mm-hmm. China has been outperforming dramatically the markets. Probably it will be the comparison for the first quarter. Do you think money will keep putting into China? Do you think we need to take more positions in China? Or you think that temporarily money will come back to the US? How do you play that? Because it's interesting to see China, Europe, Canada, and Mexico outperforming the US. And obviously everything should change for this second quarter of 2025, Steve.
You know, let me say this to you, okay? We've been bullish China for a very long time. That's public information. All right. But the reality is this: no one will ever beat the heavy hand of the most powerful, brilliant country as the United States of America, hands down. Okay? And I'm always long-term bullish, okay, the U.S. With all the rhetoric, with all the saber rattling, the reality is this: they are winners. All right? They're winners. All right, so you've got to be able to, you know, really manifest yourself through the. You've got to navigate through the waters right now. The United States is one of the greatest countries in the world, and everyone else is always catching up, and they allow them to catch up. People have very short-term memories when the Hang Seng was at 14,000 and the U.S. was here. So the relative value is all relative. That's what the public needs to understand. And that's a hard thing for them to understand.
Steve, listen, give me 1 second, so I'm going to tell them in español quickly what you mentioned because it's extremely important. Le estábamos preguntando a Steve, obviamente, qué pensaba del mercado y nos hizo una cantidad de explicaciones, pero creo que la más importante hay que tratar de encasillarla. Steve, a diferencia de muchos otros, está diciendo que el mercado va a rebotar, de que efectivamente hay que prestarle atención a lo que Alma nos decía con la tecnología, independientemente de esa caída que vimos por encima del 10% del índice tecnológico al cierre del día de hoy, que es el cierre del trimestre. Además, sigue diciendo algo que me parece interesante que recalquemos, y es el hecho fundamental de que los Estados Unidos es un mercado ganador y hay que tener mucho cuidado de no ir en contra del mercado, porque cualquier cosa puede pasar y va a seguir liderando las economías mundiales. Así que es interesante lo que nos dice Steve. Just to finish, what do you think will happen with the dollar? Do you think the dollar continue to devaluate in front of the euro? Do you think the euro will go to 125 dollars per euro? What do you think is going to happen there, which is interesting for all the people that are following us in Madrid, in Europe, and in other places of the world where the currency plays an important factor, Steve?
Let me say this to you, okay? The dollar will hover between 104 and 112, okay? And I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. I've seen the dollar go to, 126 and go down. And when it came out with the euro, came out at 98, okay? It's such a small part of the whole global macro thing. The real transaction is the negotiations between the United States government and all the tariffs. That is the bottom line. So the dollar, okay, and all the ancillary things that come within the dollar is very minuscule, in my opinion, because it's already priced in. The reality is this: will the United States of America, all right, know how to structure a transaction that's a win-win for everyone. And that's the ultimate goal for, because not a dollar has changed hands with all these tariffs. Liberty Day hasn't come yet. Okay, but you're seeing that's the psychology of it, and that's the power of it. So when you find value, you have to buy it, and that's why you're great at what you do, Victor. I mean, that's the bottom line. Okay, you asked the right question. I can only answer for the viewers in a very objective way, and I mean that.
Listen, gracias. Steve está diciendo que el mercado hay que comprarlo, lo voy a volver a repetir, son sus palabras. Él es el CEO de una compañía que se llama Balfour Capital Group, indudablemente uno de los players importantes del mercado a nivel mundial. Steve, thank you very much. We will invite you again, and let's keep in touch. Thank you. Have a great day.
Claramente. Okay, you got it, buddy.